Hey guys, welcome to the channel, welcome to the third season of What if Naruto discovered the secret of the shadow clones? So remember that you have new fanfics in the channel, so go to check it, and if you want more seasons of this fanfic, just let me know with a like, comment, and subscribe. So, we're gonna start.
Chapter 14. It was a bright and sunny day in the Leaf Village that greeted Team 7 that morning. While Sakura and Naruto were both poking a lethargic Sasuke and trying to get him to react, Kakashi had deigned this morning a good one to show up on time. Yo! Sakura turned to their teacher. You're not late. Good morning, sensei. While it had started off as a yell, the girl evened out her voice when she realized it was still early. Kakashi nodded. Well, it'll still be a few days before regular missions, so I figured we could work on team training and the like. While each of his students were learning about their affinities, team training would always be vital. Naruto, however, turned and coughed to gain everyone's attention. Actually, if everyone doesn't mind. Seeing everyone turn to him, he sighed. I do have something important to bring up. Sasuke finally seemed to focus a little. Maybe staying up training wasn't the best of ideas. He wasn't Naruto after all. Well, what's up? Finally figure out some new, even crazier way to blow things up. That was what their friend usually had to bring them. Naruto shook his head. I mean always, but this is a little more important. Sasuke, you asked me why your brother would be after me. I know why. Before either of his other two students could say anything, Kakashi held up a hand. Naruto, this is your choice? But are you sure? Naruto nodded. They're my team. If I can trust them with my life, I should be able to trust them with this. Taking a deep breath and exhaling, the boy continued. What do you remember about the Kyuubi? Sakura piped up first after a moment of thought. Well, its attack against the leaf was a disaster. Only stopped by the fourth Hokage himself, who defeated it. Naruto shook his head. The Kyuubi is an ancient demon that literally can't be defeated. Trying to kill it just means it'll reform later, even more angry. No, the fourth couldn't beat it, so he had to seal it away. Sasuke, however, caught on. You've got a demon sealed in your guts? Seeing his friend slowly nod, the Uchiha shrugged. Maybe that explains why you're such a glutton. Hey! Inohime said the same thing. It's true. If you didn't train so much, you'd end up like Choji. U.S. Baka. Whistling to stop her idiot friends from starting a fist fight, the lone girl of the team asked her own question. So you're the seal holding back a mountain-sized demon. Got any perks out of the deal at least? Naruto pointed at his eye. Extreme healing, and if I happen to be in a pinch, I can borrow its chakra. Though the chakra can send me into a rage if I pull too much of it. So definitely a big pinch scenario. Well, that's fine. If the big beast has no chance of getting out, then that's good for me. Sakura, however, marched forward and clasped the boy by his cheeks. Though I do feel a certain way about you hiding this for so long. Fighting through his cheeks getting crushed, Naruto waved his hands in defense. But I wasn't sure if you guys would flip. And then I learned some more stuff, and then all the drama with finding Tsunade, and then Inohime and Hinata-chan helped me out and dash. Wait a minute. They knew before us? Sakura dropped the boy on his ass. Bye like a day? He was met with a scream of feminine rage. We're your team, Baka. We should have known first. Sasuke leaned from behind the irate girl. I think she's just mad Ino knew before her. He never saw the fist coming. Happy that his team seemed to be okay with things, there was one last bombshell to lay on them. Leaning back on his hands and enjoying the moment, Naruto smiled. Well, there's a little more. I found out about my parents too. Pausing in her rant, Sakura turned back. How? You're an orphan. How'd you get any info at all? Hinata-chan actually helped some. She got the idea to look into the Uzumaki clan on her own and had been putting together a scroll with information for me. Waving a finger in the air, the boy continued as his friends watched on. Plus, Pervy Sage is apparently my godfather and told me while we were gone that he had to be beaten first went unsaid, or that the snake bastard had spilled the beans. He'd get his one day. Sasuke was pulling himself up into a seated position from where Sakura had laid him out. Well, don't leave us hanging. Who were they? Idly, Sakura sat down next to them to complete the little circle. Kakashi standing not far away and watching over them. Naruto pointed to the red swirl on his jacket. My mom was Kushina Uzumaki, general badass and container of the Kyuubi before me. My dad, though. Well, hey, you ever notice how there aren't many blondes in the Leaf Village? Sakura sighed. What, are you a relative of the Yamanaka? Pretty sure that'll disappoint Ino. Their rivalry might be more friendly now, but she couldn't help to get a jab in from time to time. Naruto, however, shook his head in the negative. Sasuke thought about it. Tsunade-sama is a blonde? You related to her? Pinning that thought for later, because it was a possibility, Naruto shook his head. Nah. My dad was the fourth himself. Seeing his teammates blink at him but say nothing, the Uzumaki leaned forward and crossed his arms. What? Sakura pointed at the mountain. The legendary Hokage himself, the Yellow Flash, the hero of the Third Shinobi War. That's your dad? Sasuke picked up on her thought. The very ninja hailed as a once-in-a-generation genius that had no equal. So talented even the Raikage acknowledged him in terms of speed. That's your dad. Both of his teammates looked between each other and then Naruto, before both burst out laughing. Come on, Naruto, you could at least make it believable. Sakura didn't mean to laugh at their friend, but he hadn't tried to prank them in so long. Maybe he was getting rusty. Kakashi chimed in with a smile. Actually, his father trained me. He was really excited for little Naruto to be born. Even told me I should get ready for diaper duty. Seeing all three of his students looking up to him, one questioning and the other two in disbelief, he continued. Along with the law the Sandaime passed, I was under severe orders not to inform you about your parents even slightly. Under penalty of death. Sakura and Sasuke slowly turned back to a grinning Naruto. Sakura, however, scoffed. Okay, fine. So basically you and Sasuke are pretty much village royalty. She paused while she considered that before shrugging. I'm never calling you young lord. Sasuke nodded. Guess that means you'll be sitting in on council meetings with me soon. Oh, the excitement. Naruto shrugged. Doubt it. Though I do need to get some answers about things from the council. Kakashi clapped. Don't hold your breath on that one, but I'll help out if I can. For now, with the revelations out of the way, let's get to training. Happy that his team was able to come together so seamlessly, the Jonin considered putting in a little extra effort today. Naruto himself was happy that his team still accepted him without fail. They both were like siblings to him, and it would have been terrible if they had reacted badly. Armed with that new knowledge, and now knowing his sensei hadn't lied to him without reason, the last stop was the council. Their morning training came and went, Kakashi calling it early as the three students were left on their own. As Sasuke and Sakura turned to Naruto, the blonde tilted his head. What? Sakura grinned. Well, we did say we'd hang out and get ramen, so let's go. Next to her, Sasuke had his hands in his pockets but a small smile on his face. It wasn't long, however, as they made their way back into the village proper that they were brought up short. All three were interrupted as a girl on horseback passed them by. 3 armed and armored men chasing after her gave all of them further pause. That wasn't normal. Bandits in Konoha? Still a girl in trouble? Clone spam and then smash and grab? Both Sakura and Sasuke were already moving with him. Smash and grab! None knew the adventure they were about to embark on, while another meeting was currently taking place. Tsunade was already in sour mood as she dismissed Kakashi to go find the wayward princess and his students. Mission assigned and a word to Shizune to lock the door. She turned her eyes to the only other occupant to the room now. Well, you're still here for a reason. Want to speak up before I throw you out? Danzo admitted that he was a severe man. Scarred from war and still bandaged to give the illusion as such, he still fully believed everything he did was for the good of the village. Sarutobi and he did not always see eye to eye, but in the end they did agree on some things. Enough that Danzo had in the end respected the man even if he had gotten soft in his waning years. He had hope, however, that he could impress certain necessities on the returned Senju. I appreciate your candor in this, Tsunade scoffed while returning to her paperwork. Well, you were the one so very insistent that Team 7 and Kakashi take this mission to the land of snow. I'm sure you have a very good reason for such that you'll explain to me now. After hearing about some of what Sarutobi had gone through and done, the Sannin was not in the mood to let any of the council have their way. Danzo walked to the front of the desk, tapping his cane along. Simply put, I believed it would be best to give the young Uzumaki time outside of the village with his team. Bonding with allies was a tenet that the previous Hokage praised after all. But not you. So what's this about, really? Danzo, however, smiled in a way that Tsunade noticed did not come close to reaching his visible eye. Word is young Naruto has shared his secret with his teammates, and considering his newest bingo book rating, I believe making sure he has strong connections to the village is a priority. He is a steadily improving asset to the village. One we cannot allow to fall into enemy hands. This Akatsuki business also gives pause and worry. That the group may seek to give the Uzumaki a better alternative never left his mind. Far too late to induct him into the root program, but never too late to sink other hooks into the boy. Tsunade fully paused now from her work. You have a lot of focus on one genin, Danzo. No doubt from her how abnormal this was, and also none concerning what kind of motivation Danzo had. Danzo finally sat, laying his cane over his lap. Frankly speaking, I believe you have the wrong idea about me at the moment. Then enlighten me, 'cause the urge to punch you through the wall is rising. Chuckling, the aged ninja wouldn't question the Senju's temper. I'm sure Sarutobi has notes detailing my deeds, as it were. However, my one and only goal is to strengthen the Leaf Village. And while yes, I had advocated heavily for the young Uzumaki's training to be separate from his peers, I see now I was wrong in that. He has grown leaps and bounds above what even I thought possible. I want that to continue. Already we're receiving more missions and requests for aid just from his showing in the Sand Village, surrendered not long ago after they revealed they were tricked by Orochimaru and no longer had the manpower to oppose us. That too is due to the boy. Tsunade sat back in her chair and thought for a moment as Danzo trailed off and they were left to silence. Tenting her fingers in front of her face as she frowned slightly, she still wasn't seeing something. And yet, you and the council have done everything you can to take everything from him. Danzo shook his head. A mistake by my greedier peers, not my decision at all, you'll find. In fact, I was staunchly against the liquidation of the Uzumaki holdings. Yet it was an action that improved the village as a whole. Yuzushio barriers line the walls and gates. Throughout the forests, chakra sensor seals and emergency fortified bunkers, again all reinforced with seals and technology from the Uzumaki. Tsunade placed her hands flat on the table. Can you say you aren't happy about that? Of course I am. As I said, whatever is good for the village will appease me just fine. However, please remember who was Hokage when those orders were given. Here it was, to reveal something that actually didn't have to do with him. A truth, if only half. Tsunade raised an eyebrow. You're passing the buck to Sarutobi? As if he solely ordered the Uzumaki clan's holdings and records be taken. Seeing the even look on the older man's face, Tsunade began to pale. He really did, didn't he? Danzo nodded. We were a pair, much as the first and second Hokages were. He was to be the gentle and compassionate leader while I was the shadow, the iron hand in the silk glove, as it were. Danzo raised his own hand and made a fist, knuckles popping loudly in the silent room. However, he was not Hokage just for do you think he visited and spent so much time with the boy? Made sure he was isolated as he was, but always made time to give him a word or a shoulder to lean on. That was not my way of doing things. Yeah, from what I heard, you're the tear them down and break them type. Ignoring the man nodding and shrugging with admission, she still couldn't see the lie in what he was saying. Had the previous Hokage really looked that far ahead? Endearing Naruto to him in such a way as to what? Build loyalty to him and therefore the village? Was Naruto's dream of being Hokage just something Sarutobi built up in the boy's mind in order to further protect the village in the future? That's a large accusation to make, especially with no concrete proof. Perhaps, but maybe a few months of working with me will show you the truth of things. I truly only want to see the leaf grow strong. Naruto is helping that cause and I have no reason to hinder him. Him or his curious little love interests. A subtle admission that could be perceived many ways. Danzo of course wasn't above petty. Tsunade however didn't take kindly to threats against the children, but of course could do nothing at the moment. Back to my original question, sending them to Snow is purely a team bonding move? I don't fully buy it. Tsunade thought about Snow's location to the north before frowning again. especially since it is almost exactly in the opposite direction of where Uzushio would be. Danzo was already standing. Purely coincidental. I have no interest in that husk of a village. I want you to trust me, Hokage-sama, eventually. I really have only the best interests of everyone on my mind. Then one last question. As the man paused in turning away, the blonde woman brought up another point. During the war, Konoha was apparently distracted by someone and allowed Uzushio to be destroyed. You wouldn't happen to know anything about that, would you? Danzo only smiled. It is telling that our greatest ally, one who had been with the Leaf since the beginning, since our very founding, was suddenly without aid. This would have made us look weak in the eyes of what allies we had made up till then, and would not have been a decision I would have made. Tapping his ken again on the floor, Danzo sighed heavily. Alas, I was not chosen as the Hokage, and thus could not direct troops to what obviously seemed like an easy target. Saying his piece and seeing Tsunade had nothing else to say to him, the man bowed deeply and then was out the door. Tsunade, however, dropped back into her chair heavily. He'd have me believe it was all the third, though most of what he said all had a ring of truth to it. Of everyone who was involved, the third was the one who would have been at the head of any decision involving the Uzumaki or Naruto. And it was perhaps a little too convenient that Uzushio was destroyed not long after the Leaf had received Kushina to be sealed with the Kyuubi. Curious that she didn't like it and it stunk to high hell. Fishing out a secret bottle of sake and taking a drink, the older woman did her best to toss all of it out of her mind for now. She'd be able to puzzle over it for the next few weeks and warn Naruto's little friends to quit digging into it themselves. She did not want them on Danzo's radar. No telling what he might do. It was a few days later and a bright and shiny day found Team 7 of all places on a ship, headed to a new land they had never been before. Naruto was enjoying himself as he had plenty of free time to work on seals and goof off with his teammates, while around them the filming crew were hard at work transforming and utilizing the ship as a film set. Today found Naruto on the upper deck, scribbling away at a scroll while everyone else milled about on the lower deck. He felt like he was so close to something. Time-space seals were weird to say the least, but they had so much potential. And it was his sword retrieval seal that was giving him another new idea. While the book Orochimaru gave him had plenty of new notes and seals for him to work through, it was incomplete. Hinata's scroll had mentioned Uzushio a few times, but he doubted he'd ever get the chance to go there. At least not without some type of vacation. Hearing the steps creak near him, Naruto looked back to see the taller Yuki climbing the deck. Yo! Holding up a hand, the girl paused for a moment before deciding to join him. Do you promise not to geek out on me? Naruto nodded absently. I'm a fan and want an autograph, sure, but I'm firmly in work mode right now. Adding a line to his seal and puzzling over it for a bit, he referenced his mother's book before continuing along. What about you? Not gonna run off again, are ya? Yuki looked away. I'd say unless I'm going to go for a swim, there's no chance of that. Looking over the side to watch the waves go by, the young woman tried not to get lost in her thoughts. It had been a long time since she had left the land of snow after all. To be going back for a movie was not how she pictured it would go. Do you think we all have a fate? Her father's death at her uncle's hand locked in her mind. Not really. Everyone can work and make a path for themselves. Fate is for those who refuse to make their life better. For those looking for an excuse on why their life sucks. Niji came to mind for him, that boy always claiming fate controlled everything. He sure got a reality check Uzumaki style. But what if you aren't strong enough? Naruto paused, raising his ink brush. Then become strong. And if you can't grow strong even with effort, find friends, surround yourself with allies, and you'll become strong together. You don't have to go it alone after all. Naruto actually looked at the dark-haired girl now, slightly confused that the usually surly girl was talking so freely to him. Pretty heavy topic for an actress. Wanting to say she wasn't really one just to see his reaction, Yuki shrugged. Despite your demeanor when we met, you seem level-headed and capable. Plus, the producer mentioned that you have some fame to your name as well. I figured one famous person could talk to another at the least. Still not knowing about his bingo book listing, Naruto, however, did figure he might have made a name for himself through the Chunin exams themselves after thoroughly trouncing a Hyuga. Not that they had gotten word on the results. What with the invasion and then not having a Hokage all this time? Maybe they'd get some news when they returned. Well, for this mission just consider me your knight in shining armor. I won't let anything happen to you. Yuki plucked at his black jacket. More like a black knight, aren't you? Still gonna protect you. Believe it. They lapsed into silence then. Naruto working on his seal and Yuki just enjoying the view while she could between scenes. She could admit at the moment that Naruto's confidence was somewhat infectious. Not that she was going to be storming the daimyo's palace by herself anytime soon. No, that was a dream she had given up long ago, with her father and her people. So she would continue to live in this fantasy. An actress with no home to return to. Below them, both the director and her manager were gathering people and finally looked up to see Yuki. Darling, please get ready. We still have a few scenes to film before we call it quits for the day. The boisterous man in polka dots was all smiles. Yuki sighed. She stood, dusting off the seat of her pants. Thanks for the company, Naruto-san. She reached out a hand. Naruto took her hand into his, subtly allowing 2 clones in beetle form to transfer to her. No sweat. Like I said, I'm here to protect you. Or to talk if you need it. Watching as she smiled and went below deck to get ready. The boy made 2 new clones to replace those he had just sent off. Never a bad time to be paranoid if one was to believe Kakashi-sensei. Now that he was alone, he was able to get back to his scroll. He was still pissed off that Orochimaru kept escaping from his bombs. Was there a way to slow him down with a seal? Teleporting the bomb to him would still give him a chance to run away. But what if he could attach a seal to him that slowed him down? Or stopped him entirely? Decisions had to be made. Climbing up the steps and keeping out of the way, the rest of Team 7 found Naruto muttering and chuckling to himself. Sakura shivered only a little. I hate it when he gets that way. Sasuke nudged the blonde who looked up at them with a grin. You were doing it again. Doing what? That creepy. I'm going to blow up the world. Laugh. I don't do that. You so do that. Kakashi sighed and turned back to watch the film crew getting ready. You know, we do have a job to do. Naruto nodded at Sasuke's jab and sealed his supplies away. I mean, unless a member of the crew is after her, what are we going to worry about? Standing and joining them all at the rail, they had front row seats to a live performance of the actress's talent. Sitting there for a few minutes and watching quietly, looks of astonishment grew on all of the Genin's faces. She's like a different person, Sasuke nodded. Hard to put that act in the same headspace as that gloomy runaway. Naruto nodded as they watched her pause the scene so her manager, Sandeu, could give her eye drops to finish out the scene. Kakashi waved at the teens as he made his way closer to the set. Remember, this is an A-rank mission. Keep that in mind. Plenty of people go after famous actors and actresses all the time. Then he was gone, leaving the teens alone. Sakura sighed. If only she wasn't such a grump, Sasuke agreed. Yeah, if only there was someone with a personality built to cut through grumps super easily. Neither said anything else from either side of their comrade, who had an irritated look on his face. Sakura was grinning. Why, if only she had this mega fan with a super positive attitude, who could watch over her for this trip specifically. Sasuke nodded with a hand on his chin in a sagely manner. You're right, Sakura. If only we had someone like that. Oh, screw off. I'll watch her all right. The rest of the day and evening flew by from there. With the day's scenes finished and the crew winding down for tomorrow, eventually Naruto was left alone. He wasn't going to be sleeping in Yuki's room after all. Like she said earlier, it wasn't like she was going to be going for a swim. So that gave him plenty of time during the night to work on his project and rebuild a V2 glass bomb while he was at it. Eventually, it was Kakashi who had to drag the boy below deck to get some sleep. Several new scrolls sealed on his person with a tired smile on his face. In the morning, while everyone else was trying to wake up, it was an excited director that had everyone moving. Come quickly. Film crew and ship crew racing above deck with Team 7 doing the same. They were all met with the sight of a giant glacier in their path. This is perfect. The director pointed at the crew. Get everyone up and ready. We can film a bit here before making it all the way to snow. Sakura sighed. He's lively, isn't he? Naruto crossed his arms. It's called passion. Sasuke donned a cloak while handing one off to a grateful Sakura. It's called being too early in the morning for this. Kakashi tried handing one of the brown cloaks to Naruto. It's going to get cold from here. We're pretty far north. Naruto shrugged. I've got a personal heater. I'm good. That the QB growled at him that he wasn't some mere heater put a smile on the boy's face. They all made sure to stay out of the way as the ship crew brought the boat alongside the floating mass of ice and began unloading people and equipment, at least enough for the film crew to get some scenes done for the day. As everything was being set up and Naruto checked to make sure his disguised clones were still with Yuki, the ninja sat back as filming began. A scene with Yuki and two others facing off against a lone adversary. Everything seemed to be going well and smooth until a point higher up on the glacier exploded. That was from her exploding tag. Kakashi nodded. Everyone, let's move. It's time to work. Kakashi looked directly at Naruto. Capture first, explode second if you can't. Getting a nod, Team 7 surged forward to the confusion of the film crew. Kakashi, however, was focused on the man standing and grinning down at them. Kakashi, it's been some time. You aren't going to run away this time, are you? Nadar Roga remembered the leaf ninja that had taken the princess away. This would be a good time for a rematch. Further down the mountain, his two teammates made themselves known. A woman named Fubuki and a man named Mizore. Both wore chakra armor of the snow ninja, and both were grinning at the Team 7 genin. Naruto nodded to Sasuke. I'll take the fat one. Sasuke nodded. Sure. Leave the woman to me. Sakura frowned. How am I always on protection duty? Neither answered as they surged forward through the snow. You bastards! Naruto made a brace of clones, all of them jumping forward at the bigger man who was pulling some type of board from his back. Ah! The kid wants to play? A clone was already in his face, seals on his wrist shining. Cocky, aren't ya? The explosion came, only marginally moving him, but then there were several more. Naruto watched on with a frown, checking the clone's memories while he himself watched the man get battered back and forth. Seeing odd chakra block most of the explosions, he was satisfied as eventually the clones broke through, sending the man flying unconscious. They're wearing some kind of armor that protects them. Gonna have to overwhelm them with something massive. Directing his clones to strip the enemy ninja and tie him up, Naruto was already turning to help Sasuke if he needed it. Sasuke didn't respond as he himself noticed his thrown kunai were blocked by the purple barrier, so considered his options. Of course he had something, but he'd have to be fast. He didn't have the same chakra level as Naruto after all. Performing hand signs and inhaling, he frowned at the ice needles coming his way. Grand fireball! Fire left his lips, melting all of the incoming projectiles and continuing on towards his target. Knowing, however, that she would be safe, he was already moving, Sharingan already active and Chidori coming to life. Ah, is that all you have, brat? Your teammate even told you our secret. Fubuki, however, was frowning. Mizore should have grabbed the princess by now, but she couldn't see him anymore, throwing up an ice barrier to protect herself. She missed the boy who completed his shunshin and ended up next to her. Turning it, hearing the snow crunch next to her over the sound of the fireball connecting with the ice wall, she tried backing away. Sasuke, however, wouldn't give her the chance. Hand and body leaping forward. Chidori! Pumping more chakra than was probably wise into the technique, Sasuke felt his hand encounter the barrier. The moment gave the woman a chance to dodge slightly, but the compact, piercing nature of Sasuke's attack overwhelmed it within moments. He surged forward, hand piercing her shoulder and destroying the armor, leaving Fubuki to collapse in pain on the ground. In another few seconds, Sasuke had her bound, gagged, and following Naruto's example, out of her armor. Even if it was damaged, he didn't want to give her the chance. Kakashi and Nadar were fighting back and forth along the mountain, Kakashi with a smile while Nadar was slowly growing more and more frustrated. You've grown since then, Kakashi nodded. A lot has happened and things change. Tell me, how is Dodo? Nadar was making hand seals. You're going to find out once we've beaten you. Finishing his seals, the ground below them buckled. Great ice whale. Following the name, a massive whale of ice broke through the ground, forcing Kakashi to back away. Taking a moment to look back, he noticed Naruto and Sasuke both dragging their opponents back towards the ship and crew. Guess I'm free to be a bit more serious. Lifting his headband and exposing his eye, the sensei of Team 7 quickly finished a set of hand signs himself. Great Water Dragon. The dragon rose from the waters and aimed itself for Nadar, who was smirking. Tearing Dragon Fierce Tiger. The technique was quick to freeze the water dragon, and both Elder Ninja repositioned to strike again. Back with the others, Naruto had clones take the knocked-out Snow Ninja to the ship while he met up with Sasuke and Sakura. Think we should help Kakashi-sensei? Sakura relaxed a bit and shook her head. We'd probably be in the way. Sasuke nodded. Come on. Let's help get everyone back to the ship. They all moved to do so, while Naruto broke off early to where Sandeu was trying to convince Yuki to move. Please, Yuki, we have to go. I can't move. Naruto rolled his eyes, coming in between them without a word and hoisting the taller woman up and onto his back. Hey, Naruto sighed as they started back for the ship. I told you, didn't I? He turned his head to look back towards her. I'll be your knight. You have nothing to worry about with me here. Feeling the woman slump against him, he had a feeling this was more than just the surprise of a ninja battle occurring so suddenly. They made good time, Naruto having to make a new clone to take Yuki below deck, and soon enough everyone else was back on the ship and waiting on the battling Kakashi. Sakura turned to her friends. This isn't looking good. I can level this glacier if needed. Sasuke shook his head. Something tells me that's a bad idea. Before their eyes, multiple large whales made of snow and ice began to rampage from under the ice, breaking the iceberg apart. Kakashi was soon seen racing back to the ship with no one pursuing him, and he was able to join them with no trouble. Naruto, however, was grinning. Okay, so now I can level this place? Kakashi put a hand on his head and ruffled his hair. Let's not go crazy. We've defeated our enemies and the crew is safe. My opponent retreated once he saw we captured his own team. That Kakashi was seconds away from putting a Raikiri in the man's chest irked him. He didn't want to give him a chance to make a comeback. Where did you put them? Naruto hooked a thumb to the stairs. Storage hold? They're covered in suppression seals and rope. They won't be moving on their own for a while. Kakashi turned to all of his students. Good work, you three. I'll go get some information. You watch over the crew. Hi! All three chorused together while their teacher left them to their own devices. Sakura turned to Naruto. How many village-ending bombs do you have on you now? Naruto shrugged. Enough for every major village, I think. Maybe, Sasuke sighed. It was a mistake for you to learn anything about making bombs, says you. It saved our bacon plenty by now, and also nearly killed us. You're just mad 'cause my skills are awesome. Sakura slapped both of the boys before walking away. Can't you two be normal for like 10 minutes? Both watched her go before turning to each other. Naruto grinning at the raven-haired boy. Don't say it. Naruto had his hands up and above his head. Say what? You know what? Naruto was again all grins. I'm just saying you could mellow her out in like an evening. We're not talking about this. You're the one who says he needs to rebuild his clan. I can't believe this. She would be so willing to help too. You're still going? Maybe she wouldn't be so uptight all the time? That's it. I'm done. Go find someone else to annoy. And like that, Sasuke was gone. Naruto holding up a peace sign. Mission. Annoy the teammates till they leave you alone. Success. Making his own way down into the decks, Naruto had one place in mind, however, and that was Yuki's room. Something about the way she had acted was bothering him, and he couldn't get his mind off of it. It was like an out-of-place puzzle piece. He needed to find where it went. Seeing no one around and what looked like Kakashi-sensei walking away, the blonde knocked on the door to Yuki's room before heading inside. Inside the sparsely furnished room, Yuki was laying in bed, seemingly asleep. That didn't change as Naruto picked up a stool and carried it over, taking a seat next to the head of the bed and looking out the window. It was pretty peaceful, he admitted to himself, to hear the waves crashing against the boat and feel its motion underneath them. On a dresser under the window, he spied an odd necklace that must have been Yuki's, but he left it alone. He knew better than to grab other people's things, his own likely to blow someone to bits. You brought me back. Her voice cut through the silence, and though Naruto didn't jump, he wasn't quick to look her way either. He listened as she shuffled and sat up completely, arms over her knees. You said you would listen to me, correct? The scene at the iceberg played before her eyes, while at the same time memories of a worse event did the same. Naruto nodded while still watching the waves. Yup, anytime, anywhere. Yuki nodded. I have a secret. Waiting for him in interrupt. She continued when he didn't. I'm actually a princess. Actually surprised by the admission, Naruto did his best to contain his emotions. Something tells me this has to do with the snow ninja back there? Yuki nodded. My real name is Koyuki Kazahana. My father was the previous daimyo of Snow. My uncle, Dodo, led a coup and torched our home, killing my father in the process. I escaped, and I've been running ever since. And now you're going back. I wasn't exactly asked to do this. And now that Dodo knows I'm here, he'll stop at nothing to find me. Naruto nodded, finally turning mismatched eyes back to the young woman. So what's the plan? Pausing and taking in the boy before her, Koyuki considered that he and his team had taken down 2 of the snow ninja said a lot. His reputation really did mean something and wasn't just for show. If she hadn't seen them fight so well, she would probably tell him they couldn't change anything. I don't know, I'm terrified of going back. I had to watch my father die and then abandon my home. Here she curled into ball. Life isn't a movie. We don't always get a happy ending. Naruto nodded. You're right, it isn't. But sometimes we can force it to be if we're willing to work for it. This is your home. If anyone is going to clean it up and help others have a better life, it should be you. I told ya, I'm your knight. Give the word and I'll burn everything to the ground. Koyuki chuckled and shook her head. I don't think we need to go that far. She hadn't considered it before actually going back. Dodo had seemed so much larger than her, able to do anything, get away with anything. And here was a team of ninja brushing his efforts aside. I don't want to watch anyone else die. I'd like to promise and say it won't happen, but life is still tough like that. I can promise you that me and my team will get the job done. You're making me consider taking on my uncle and his ninja. She matched her gaze with his, silence once more descending on them both. She was the first to look away, however. Can I ask something of you? Already did, brat. He's gonna come for me, I know it. And you yourself said if I wasn't strong enough, that I'd need to make friends and ask for help. She looked away from the boy now, a thoughtful look on her face as she considered what she was about to say. If my uncle comes, can you kill him? If that's what you want. No chance to reconcile or imprison him. He killed my father and everyone else in the palace for his lust for power. He doesn't deserve a second chance. Koyuki turned back to him. Consider this a request from a country's daimyo. Naruto bowed lightly. Then he's done for. We'll take back this country for you, and you can rebuild your dreams. Koyuki focused on the view outside for a moment. You're big on fighting fate and making your way yourself. Can you tell me what made you this way? What was your life like? Naruto sighed. That's a long and pretty shitty story. We have time and I'm interested. That she was honestly considering taking action was solely because of him. Less than a handful of conversations but a chance to watch him actually fight, and she was ready to believe in him. So she sat and listened to his story, of him growing up and his treatment by his village. The first betrayal of a teacher and his greatest to him triumph. Then the whirlwind that his life became. The training, bonding with his team, the boring missions, the exciting missions. His first real confrontation and learning more about the realities of life as a ninja. So much in so little time. He had experienced so much, and even now as she sat and listened she wanted to be upset for him. Life had not been kind to Naruto Uzumaki, nor had many of the adults in his life it seemed. But he always got back up when life tried to kick him down. He made friends and comrades, people he could trust. He learned and grew as fast as he could, to protect those he considered both important and precious. She wondered what would that be like to have someone like that. As Naruto was explaining how he had brought back his village's leader, she sighed and straightened out. Naruto-kun, pausing as he was about to launch into a tirade about how much of a pervert his sensei was. Naruto looked at the girl next to him. Huh? Yeah, what's up? Can you help me up? I'd like to find the others. Though she needed to focus on reclaiming her country, she felt like she had heard her father mention something about the Uzumaki once. Well, if things went well, maybe she could help the boy as well. Sure, hold on. Helping her up? they finally left the room and made it to the hallway. Exploring for a bit, they finally tracked down the remaining members of Team 7 and the director and his assistant talking it out. Koyuki smiled as she saw Sandeu sitting there with everyone else. At least he was safe. How could I pass up this chance? A one-in-a-lifetime chance to make a movie about a real princess taking back her home. I must record this. Koyuki sighed as she leaned against the door frame. Sandeu, said man stood up. My lady, are you okay? What this about me taking back a country? Sandeu sighed. I know you may not want to, but so many of us want to return you to your proper place. Your father wouldn't have wanted you running away for your entire life. We have support. There are troops waiting for us in the capital. Please, all we need is your belief in us, and I'm sure we can do this. Koyuki didn't seem moved. We must do this. Rolling her eyes, she let Naruto move past her to join his team. Someone else already convinced me to take action. Eyes traveling over everyone. The actress smirked. So thanks to a plucky ninja, we're going to take back my home. Kakashi sighed as he looked at his student. You can't help but get involved, can you? Naruto was all grins as Koyuki made plans with the director and Sandeu. I'm just a regular ray of sunshine. Sasuke frowned. That's got to be a skill. Sakura nodded. What would we call it? Motivate no jutsu? Talk no jutsu? No more sad no justu? You both know I'm right here, right? Naruto tried to stop his eyebrow from twitching. Really he did. Kakashi ruffled his hair. How about therapy no jutsu? The traitor. You're all lucky I can't enact my violence on a boat. Just you wait. When we get back home, I'm coming for you. All of them knew he would make good on his promise, but for now they would be having their fun. Besides, it wasn't like he was going to make a habit of saving princesses and toppling countries. The next day found the ship docked and unloaded, with the film crew and the ninja on their way towards their next filming location. Naruto was in the same car as Koyuki, tying a small but bright orange scroll to the end of a kunai. Once done, he stashed it away in a pocket before relaxing back in his seat. Still going to act? Koyuki nodded. I'll still go by Yuki Fujikaze as a stage name. Acting is something I enjoy. But if this works, Koyuki Kazuhana will make an appearance again as the daimyo of Snow. She looked at us curiously. Do you have a plan for my uncle? He's not a super strong ninja known as a legend across the nations, is he? No, I don't believe so. He's not super powerful and never been beaten before? No, he used Snow Ninja loyal to him, but he's not particularly powerful, I don't think. So no chance he could run, or likely counter an Uzumaki-based seal array. Good. I have something for him. Just make sure you stay behind me if he shows up. Koyuki nodded. I'm trusting you, my knight. I'm gonna get teased for that, aren't I? Just a little. However, she did have a question for the younger boy. You mentioned part of your current dream is to learn about your clan, maybe rebuild. Do you have any leads? Naruto shook his head. No, but hopefully soon I'll have some time to go visit our ancestral home. Maybe I can find something there. Koyuki nodded. Well, I have some vague memories of my father mentioning the Uzumaki. If I come across anything, I'll make sure to let you know. In the next car ahead of them, Sandeu was explaining what the previous daimyo had tried to accomplish as they were coming out of a tunnel. If they hadn't frozen over, we would be driving on train rails right now. He had hoped to one day link all of the country by rail. Kakashi nodded. Only, this country is nearly always covered in snow. Nodding as the vehicle they were in pulled off to the side and came to a halt, Sandeu replied to the ninja. It nearly bankrupted the country. There was, however, one last invention we never got to see in use. Kakashi thought back to the two ninja he had interrogated. Something about a vault and a treasure? Correct. No one knows what's inside, but Dodo wants it. I have faith that it's just what our country needs to rebuild itself. As Sandeu and the others assisted with setting up with the film crew, they all turned as Naruto and Koyuki made their way over. Yo! Naruto held a hand up, looking much like his sensei. Koyuki walked past them to speak with the director. Don't let your guard down. We're in enemy territory now. Kakashi gave advice while the genin listened. They were making plans to overthrow a daimyo or a pretender at least. Hey! What's that there? One of the film crew was pointing at the tunnel where they could see iron rails appearing from the snow. steam and water flowing away from them to reveal full train tracks from underneath the ice. Tsunade, however, had an idea and was already moving. Someone is pumping chakra through the rails to melt the snow. A train has to be coming, which meant Dodo had caught up to them. He was up and over the ridge, off to find the secret force of men he had cobbled together. Naruto was looking towards Koyuki. "We sticking to the plan?" Koyuki nodded. "I'll get Dodo to come out and point him out to you if you need it." "That's all you need." Naruto nodded as his team looked on with some confusion. "That's all I need." "Naruto, please tell me this isn't experimental?" Kakashi was looking around the snowy hillside they were on. "There is a cliff not far away." Naruto grinned. No major explosion from this one. That none of them believed him went unsaid, but they trusted that he at least wasn't going to use something that could kill them all. So they turned to help all of the film crew make it up and over the ridge overlooking the hill they were on. Leaving all of the vehicles behind, they could just make out the sound of the train coming along. Soon it was the shaking the ground before finally the 2-car wide and several car long train made its appearance, already slowing so that it could come to a stop. Sasuke looked and wood and metal construction over. "Well, that's huge. Snow seems to really lean on technology." Kakashi nodded. The previous daimyo had plenty of projects. Some were quite ahead of their time. Train coming to a stop, there was noise from external speakers. "Oh, Koyuki dear, why don't you come on out? It's been so long since I've seen your face." A deep man's voice issued out from speakers along the train. Everyone turned to look at the girl who nodded before standing. Naruto at her side did the same. "You ready?" "No. You'll be there though, right? You ain't getting rid of me that easy." Together they made their way down the ridge. Behind them, Tsunade and 50 men gathered and made their way down the hill. They would not leave their princess alone now. Koyuki walked ahead of Naruto to stand alone before the giant train with a frown on her face. "Dodo, you could at least show your pathetic face." Sucking his teeth, said man opened a hatch and climbed out from where he was. The lone ninja to return, Nadar, coming out behind him and standing with him. "Such hateful words, young lady. We'll have to fix that. Now come along, before we have a repeat of 10 years ago." With a wave of his hand, doors on the side of the train opened up to reveal rows upon rows of kunai launchers. Koyuki took a step forward. "Kill me and you won't get what you desire. You need me alive, so cut the evil mastermind act. Because if anyone else dies today, I'll toss myself over the cliff before helping you do anything." With a sigh, Dodo nodded. At least the girl seemed like she was going to come along without a fight. He made another motion and the weapons all closed up again. "Fine, fine, little princess. Anything to say to your followers before we go?" "You know something? When I came here, I wanted nothing to do with this. Not you, not Snow, none of it. I don't want to suffer anymore." Shoulders shaking as she fought back real tears, the first since she had escaped this country. "Now though, I want to see this country prosper. I want to see the spring my father said we could build." "There is no spring in Snow, child. That was your father's silly delusion." Koyuki smirked. "Well, there's no more you as well." Stepping aside, Naruto whipped his new special kunai at the man. Dodo sighed as he watched the kunai bounce off his armor. Foolish Bodish. The explosion wasn't the biggest Naruto had ever made, barely engulfing half of the train car. However, once the smoke cleared, everyone was given front row seats to something they couldn't fully describe. A sphere of orange energy surrounded Dodo and Nadar, where on its surface multiple seals moved and floated to keep the sphere intact. Inside was another matter entirely, as the sealing array Naruto had cooked up did its job. Dodo and Nadar seemed to be moving in slow motion, explosion after explosion rocking them back and forth. It was the time-slowed event that allowed them all to see the precise moment their armor failed, for the explosions to tear them apart, and finally for those parts to be atomized. Outside of the sphere, Kakashi and the rest of Team 7 alighted next to Naruto. What the hell is that?" Sakura was pointing at the horror show. Naruto had his hands in his pockets. Super time dilation applied to anyone inside the seal mixed with a barrier array and a sealing array. Nothing gets in or out once it starts, and that includes the several thousand explosive seals I've layered into it. And when it's done, pointing at the sphere, they all watched as it shrunk and took everything within the sphere with it. that included a small portion of the train car. Nothing left. No super explosion. No mess. No fuss. Sasuke sighed. How did we miss him playing with space and time? That sounds like a horrible idea. Sakura agreed. Absolutely a horrible idea. Hey, don't ignore us. We still have a train full of kunai and ninja. Some nameless snow ninja was standing and pointing at them all, causing them all to frown. As he didn't just see their leader literally get blown apart in slow motion. Naruto pointed at Koyuki. This is your rightful daimyo Koyuki Kazahana. Does anyone here really want to try to kill her right now? Unsealing several scrolls, all different colors and sizes, the boy was grinning in a way that had everyone nervous. I'll happily teach you how bad of an idea that is. Koyuki put a hand on Naruto's shoulder. Let me deal with this, okay? Seeing the boy put his things away and nod, the young princess stepped forward. My father was killed by my uncle. He promised you riches that never came, and glory that was false. I can't promise you glory or wealth, but I can promise you that we will rebuild the land of snow into a nation we can be proud of. My father always dreamed of melting this frozen wasteland and making it into something greater. I'm here to continue that dream. Can you stand and call yourselves ninja of snow? To follow me in this dream? She motioned to where Dodo used to be. Or will you stand against me? There was much muttering, before another ninja stepped forward. Of course we are with you. Daimyo Kazahana-sama. Please, by train the mansion with the vault is not far from here. Koyuki nodded and turned to the other. Join me? Let's put an end to this for good. Team 7, the film crew and Sandeu and the rebels all did just that. Packing onto the train with the formerly Doto-aligned ninja and making way for the daimyo mansion. Sandeu and the rebels were hard-pressed to be kind to the ninja that had done their best to hunt them down all this time. However, the consensus among those ninja was usually the same. They took orders from their leaders. Currently that was Koyuki, so they had no quarrel with the rebels anymore. The director was having a field day, filming authentic reactions from everyone and getting to watch real-time as a princess came to power. Kakashi was still berating Naruto within the confines of the train about experimenting with seals while on missions. Unnoticed by either was Sasuke handing Sakura a handful of Ryo for a lost best. He didn't know why he thought Naruto wouldn't use something experimental, but apparently Sakura was paying better attention than he was lately. However, eventually Koyuki pulled Naruto away for a conversation. Tucking them both away into a small corner so they could be alone, Koyuki tried to make this quick. Naruto, I want to say now, because of you, my country has a chance to heal, one way or another. I did say I would help you. Naruto had a puzzled look on his face. The princess, however, shook her head. You told me about the leaf and everything that happened to you, so I'm now going to do what I can to help you. So for now, if you ever need it, you can make your way here. To rest, to hide, to rebuild, anything. If you need it, Snow will offer it. Do you understand? Naruto tried to answer but choked up for a moment. Once again caught off guard by someone willing to help him. Thinking it over, he nodded finally. Thank you. Koyuki Haim, smiling the soon-to-be daimyo nodded. To anyone else, I'm still Yuki. But hearing Koyuki from you sounds right. She turned to go find Sandeu before pausing as Naruto captured her wrist. What is it, Naruto-kun? Naruto seriously thought about what he was about to give her before deciding that just in case he might as well do it. So reaching into an inner pocket of his jacket, he pulled out 2 slips of paper. They're seals. Place one in a room you know won't be disturbed. Keep the other with you as often as you can. If I do need to come here, they'll hopefully help me. He wasn't sure if they would work, but he could set it up to try it out someday. Watching as she took both and quietly slipped them into her clothes, she nodded and walked away, leaving him to go back to his team. True to the ninja's words, everyone was soon at the mansion and walking within, Koyuki and Kakashi in the lead. Kakashi pointed the way after getting the information from the ninja he had interrogated on the ship earlier. This led them first inside where Sandeu and many of the loyalists he had gathered and Snow Ninja began to break off, performing duties none of the Leaf Ninja were privy to. Then back outside to a snow-covered courtyard where they stopped before a machine with an odd hole facing them. Kakashi stepped back with his team to give Koyuki space. So this is what it was for. Taking her necklace off, Koyuki placed it into the hole and turned it like a key. Stepping away, she steadied herself as it came to life, rumbling and shaking the ground around them. In front of them, a hologram of a man looking much like Koyuki herself came to life. Dear Koyuki, I promised you that one day we would bring spring to the land of snow. It's now up to you to see this through. The hologram was smiling at them, before after a moment it faded away, Koyuki reaching out to it for a moment before smiling. Around them, the very air seemed to be warming. The snow was melting rapidly, and eventually the entire area was clearing of snow. Laughing now, Koyuki spun in a circle and ditched her thick jacket. He really did it. It's really spring. Koyuki was laughing as everyone else looked around in wonder. A machine that could affect the very environment on this level was unheard of anywhere else. Kakashi watched the steam rising in the air, coalescing patterns of light dancing before them. Sakura smiled. It's like we released a rainbow. Naruto walked forward to the smiling girl. See what happens when you challenge fate, overcome with emotion, and in the moment. Koyuki surged forward, grabbing Naruto in a tight hug. Lowering her voice to just them, she whispered in his ear. You're always welcome here, Naruto Uzumaki, my Black Knight. Releasing him with a kiss to the cheek, Koyuki danced away and waved as Sandeu was walking out and toward them. Sakura sighed. There's no way. Sasuke nodded. Want to take bets on how Ino and Hinata are going to take it? Sakura crossed her arms. I'm not touching that for all the Rio in Konoha. Team 7 could count this as a successful mission and another notch of their belt for helping a country from under a dictator. Odd that so far their 2 missions out of the Leaf Village ended that way. Surely that wouldn't become a thing. Hopefully. Maybe.